My wife's movie club watched The Lady in the Van, the 2015 movie based on the play by the same name starring Maggie Smith. This movie is about homosexuality, a personal journey of a gay writer who lives in a hidden life amongst a nice but stifling society. He feels he cannot truly be himself, and because of his timidity, his cowardice, and his inability to say no, he doesn't. He lets things happen to him that he doesn't like, which he resents most of the time. But he is of two minds, and one thinks he should write about life and not necessarily live it. His mind also debates about letting the lady live in the driveway, which also means he lives with the poop. The Lady in the Van is based on reality, meaning there really was a woman who lived in a van outside of Alan's house.
And I live in a van down by the river.
But the movie is unclear how much of the story is fiction and how much is nonfiction. The information comes from the writer's point of view, and therefore only the things he sees and hears. So her story is only used to tell us more about him, the writer. Yep, this is a self-serving story about a writer who, quote, finds himself in the writing of it. Sometimes he just fills in the gaps, and he even tells us in the film that it's not reflective of reality in many cases. Things like, she didn't say that, or I didn't say that, repeated as he talks to his other self.
She didn't say this. No, but why shouldn't she?
The writer laments his failings, but only in a way of saying, I may not be perfect, but I'm better than you. I did more than any of my neighbors and more than you ever did. The movie hesitantly parallels Alan's relationship with his mother and the lady in the van, and despite her cantankerous disposition, society accepts her, not necessarily likes her. There is a theme of acceptance and tolerance. The neighborhood are kind to the lady in the van. They don't really want her around, but they bring her food and gifts. Each time they are treated with indifference or disdain. The children are repulsed by her, but later in life, they ask about her. They have grown to accept her. The writer points out that society doesn't shy away from her like he does. He never touches her, but all the public servants do. They do not shy away from the smell and the ugly nature of the lady in the van. Society accepts him in much the same way. He thinks it's because they think he is straight. So his sexual flings only come in the cover of night. But the neighborhoods learn about him and by going to his plays and other things, and it changes nothing. As the woman in the van dies, the gay writer discovers she lived more of a life than he ever did. This is the coming out, proud to be gay story, and as the movie closes, Alan is openly living his gay life. There is a very hard anti-Christian theme to the film. It gives a harsh representation to those who have dedicated their lives to God, and they are the most unfeeling, uncaring, hate-filled people in the movie. And those who believe, like the lady in the van, the message is the church takes away anything that makes you happy. For Alan, it's his sex life, and for Mary or Margaret, it's her music. At first, the movie portrays her as a disturbed woman who can't stand hearing music. She's belligerently tells her to stop, threatening children at the sound. Later, she goes to a senior program where there's a piano being played, and without any change at all, she doesn't mind hearing music all of a sudden. She enjoys it. Later, we learn that she was the piano player herself, and after she is washed at the senior center, she plays again. Her final lament is about how cruel it is to live without music, just like Alan would say it's cruel to live without his sexuality. Another observation from this movie is that the laws in England are weird. We see a homeless woman buying cars, eating out, riding children's rides, eating ice cream, etc., just living the life to its fullest. She has money to pay bribes to an unscrupulous ex-policeman, and Alan is like her manservant, pushing her around and doing whatever she wants so she can enjoy herself. But it is Alan that is yelled at and criticized. Social services somehow treats Alan as if this is all his fault, and when He attempts to defend himself. Social services says that he's being hostile. To them, he's the problem, not her. Just by using an indoor bathroom, she also has somehow squatting rights? I don't even know what that is. Maybe this is showing how social equality works. Those that work are the slaves of those that don't. Or maybe it's trying to say something else altogether. One of the most disappointing parts, but probably one of the more realistic parts of the film is about her mental illness. The movie starts us off with an unanswered question about what happened that caused the blood stain on her van's window. We know that Margaret has been involved in a traumatic event where someone has died, and now she's on the run from the law. We can easily assume that this is what led to her being so disturbed. However, in the last part of the movie, it's revealed she was not to blame and her mental illness existed prior to the accident. She was sitting in a stationary vehicle, a motorcycle crashed into her, and the rider died. Her disturbed mind was not able to interpret these events, so she doesn't call the police, she goes on the run, and she blames herself for what's clearly not her fault. I suppose I just don't know another way to interpret it other than she must have been disturbed the whole time. The movie does not address how to deal with any mental illness issues. In summary, I did not care for this movie. It was tedious and kind of boring. The lady in the van was not endearing to me. She was knowing it best. I found the film very disrespectful to Catholics and maybe all Christianity as a whole. I suppose that is what is accepted in today's world or society. I did like the way it was presented with two Allens discussing things, but not enough to salvage the riffraff of the loosely based on real events tripe. To me, this movie is like poop in the street. Yes, I know it's there, I get it, but I would rather not step in it or go near it.
And I live in a van down by the river.